Hey everyone, Shannon here, and I am back with another quick training for you guys all about the myth of the expert web designer. So, thank you guys all so much for joining me. If you didn't catch my live yesterday, I talked about the 3 mindset shifts that my web design clients are making to increase their prices anywhere from 4 times to 18 times, which absolutely blows my mind. And I was talking to you guys about how I was talking to some of my Web Designer Academy clients about, what changed for them in the past year since they joined the program, and like, what are those mindset shifts that, led them from being stuck and not marketing themselves and undercharging and over delivering to really thriving, booking clients, charging more than they ever dreamed possible, and actually getting the clients to say yes, and confidently like making those offers and getting clients to say yes. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about over the next few days, because I think that there are some things that we just don't realize are holding us back from taking that big action to grow our web design businesses as web designers. So for those of you who don't know me, about 6 years ago, I started doing freelance web design on the side. Hey, Mandy. Hey, everyone. It's good to see you guys joining. I started doing freelance web design on the side. I had a day job, and I really I knew how to build a website, right? I was self-taught over 10 years. I knew how to build a website, but when it came down to actually working with clients, I had so much imposter syndrome, and I want to know if you guys can relate. I want to know, for those of you who are here, have you ever thought things like, I don't know enough to charge that much for web design. And you think you just need to learn more. Take another coding class, take another WordPress class, take a CSS class, learn all the coding languages. And once you know everything, then you can start taking on paying clients, and then you can raise your prices, and then you can do all this. And you just have to learn more. You don't know enough. So let me know in the comments. Just leave me your favorite emoji if you can relate to any of that, because I hear that so much from my Web Designer Academy students when they join. They are thinking, oh, I just have to take this one more class, this one more thing. And what I see Nikki's like, yep. So, what I see happening there is what that does is, it holds you back from putting yourself out there and marketing your web design business, because you're always in the back of your mind worried that your clients are going to ask you to do something that you don't know how to do, or you just think you don't know enough. So you really want to start this business, and you've built websites for yourself before. Maybe you've even done it for free for other people because you couldn't possibly charge them because you haven't taken all the classes, right? And GoGo212 no says, yes, I'm a beginner, and I figure I would need to take classes for a year before I can branch out. So maybe I hear that a lot. And then I also have the people that are more type A personality, those people who don't want to put themselves out there, because if someone asks you a question that you don't know how to answer, you are just going to be feel like a total imposter, and you would never do that to yourself in the first place. So you're just I have to know all the things before I can start working with clients. So I call all of this the myth of the expert web designer. And if you ever think things like this, it's one of the reasons why you're having a hard time even getting started. So if you are new and you're thinking about becoming a web designer, but you're in this, I have to learn more, I have to, obviously you can't just know nothing and then be like, hey, I'm a web designer, I'll build a site for you. Well, actually you could do that. But not recommended, right? You want to have some foundational skills. But if you have those skills and you are still undercharging and over delivering, or just not putting yourself out there, it's the myth of the expert web designer that is probably one of those things holding you back. So we're going to deconstruct this myth in just a bit. But before I dive into that, I want to let you know about a private training that I'm hosting next Friday. and you have to apply to attend. So if you want to learn more about that and go deeper with us, if you want to work with us on your web design business in 2021, just head on over to webdesigneracademy.com. We work with our clients to create profitable, sustainable, scalable web design businesses. We're doing a private training next week. So if you want to apply to be invited to that training, just go to webdesigneracademy.com. Grow with Griffith says, I've gotten so much more comfortable with making changes to my website and knowing I can fix it, but it has taken designing 2 websites to even get there. I love what you just said, and I'm going to circle back around and touch on that for you. Because one of the biggest problems that I see my clients have when they come to us is confidence. Confidence. How many of you can relate to being like, oh, when it's my website, I'm good. If I break it, I'm fine with breaking it. It's mine, it's okay. But when it comes to like actually working for clients, it's just like a whole different ball game, right? You just have all this imposter syndrome start coming up and you get all worried and you doubt yourself. It's like the confidence you have when you're working on your own stuff goes like completely out the window. I would love to know if you guys can relate to that. And so, like I said, my Web Designer Academy students, they will have, before working with us, it's like they've done all of these amazing things in their lives. Like we have lawyers, we have just people who are super successful in corporate. We have amazing moms that have kids with special needs and kids without special needs that it just, those of you that are parents know what it's like to raise kids. And, military spouses, military members, like we have it all in our group, or just like side hustlers like I was. And these women and a few cool men are killing it in their life. Like in their life, they are amazing. They're getting stuff done. It might not always be easy, but they can always just go after it. And then they make this bold decision to start offering web design as a service for whatever reason, because they love it and they want something different for their life, right? They don't want, the what we all grew up, thinking. If you're like me, I'm 41, the option was like, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a corporate job, climb the corporate ladder, put money in your retirement so that when you're old, if you live long enough, hopefully you can enjoy it at the end, right? And I think what we're all realizing is we don't have to do that. We can go like make a career for ourselves. And then we make this bold decision because we want something different for our lives. But then we get that total imposter syndrome, just like Grow with Griffith. Like, yeah, I work for someone else and just making small changes on her website makes me a nervous wreck because I didn't design it. So I want to talk about that. So that, I have one of my clients inside the Web Designer Academy, Robin. She posted recently in our Facebook group. I absolutely loved this post, but she was like, she wanted to thank me because, she joined the Web Designer Academy to learn the business side of running the business, to learn how to get clients, to learn the processes, to learn the marketing strategies, the pricing strategies, all that stuff. But she didn't realize that she had like this myth of the expert web designer like running in the background, kind of like underneath things driving her decision making. And she posted, she's like, hey, yesterday I got a text from a friend asking if I could recommend a good website developer. And she goes, in the past, I would have recommended someone with more expertise and more experience. How many of you guys have ever like had a conversation with someone about a project and then been like, oh, no. Like I can't possibly take that on. I don't know enough. What if I break it? You just freeze up and you're like, oh no, let me refer you to someone else who could handle that. I used to do that too. I would think like, oh, that's too big of a project. I don't think I can handle it. Or, I don't know how to write PHP or whatever it is, right? And all of those thoughts like running in the backs of our minds, those thoughts keep you in passive action. in your web design business. And what I mean by passive action is that like, yeah, you're going to like build the website, you're going to get your packages together, you're going to put all those things together, and then you're going to like work in your business, but not actually really put yourself out there, because deep down you believe that you're truly not capable. And if you're afraid that you could screw something up that bad, why would you ever try to even get a client? You know, it's like, of course you're going to, you know, part of you wants it, right? So you're going to do the work, but the other part of you is scared. And that's the part of you that's going to like self-sabotage you every single time and keep you working on things that actually aren't going to move your business forward at all. And so if there is one thing that I want you to walk away from after watching this, is that if you've ever thought that you don't know enough, it's 1,000% not true. It is absolutely just not true. It's just something that you think that is not true. It's not a fact. It's not even a requirement to run a successful web design business to know all of the things. I can promise you that I don't care how much you know and how much of an expert you are, every single client project you encounter, you will come across something that you don't know how to do. Something that's completely unexpected, something that you have just no clue, you've never seen it before, and you're like, how? I don't know. Kind of like what Grow with Griffiths said, like, I'm so nervous to like dive into like make changes to a site that I didn't build. Here's the only skill that you need. You do not need to be an expert. You just need to have the skill of figuring things out and have the confidence in yourself that you know how to figure things out. How did most of you, the majority of you, I would venture almost all of you, are self-taught, right? How did you teach yourself? By figuring it out, by Googling things, by watching tutorials, by asking questions, asking people for help who have done it before, research, trying things and seeing what happens and seeing if you get the expected outcome. That's what self-taught is. And, you know, of course, like we want to we want to have backups and fail safes in place when we're, you know, experimenting on client sites so that we can restore things if we break it. But that's all that's required. All that is required is the confidence and willingness to figure out any problem that you encounter. Every single person watching this is amazingly smart. You have figured out how to get to the point where you're even considering offering freelance web design services, or you already have started. So you can figure things out. And sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, and especially as women, we think that like we have to either figure it all out on our own, we can't ask for help, or we'll be seen as incompetent or weak. We can't show that we don't know what we're talking about. We can't ask questions because, quite frankly, asking questions in forums and stuff, historically, you know, people in there aren't very kind. That's one of the reasons that I started my business and my community the way that I did in the first place, because I would ask questions in these like web developer forums and people would be like, oh nope, you shouldn't even be calling yourself, you shouldn't even be touching a keyboard if you have to ask that question. And I was just like, okay, no. And when I create my own community, that is not going to be tolerated at all whatsoever. We're going to have a safe space where anybody can ask any question they want without fear of being called stupid or incompetent or all the other things that are just ridiculous and unhelpful. So that's really the kind of community that we have created inside of the Web Designer Academy, because that is what we do. We support each other. We don't expect everybody to be an expert. You know, it's like, you know, have you guys ever thought like, oh, I just know enough to be dangerous? If you've ever had the thought like, oh, I know enough about tech to be dangerous, that's the perfect skill that you need to have to just really become a super like amazing web designer. So there is no expert web designer out there that just knows everything and never runs into any problems and just like magically has it all figured out all the time. The only thing that having that level of knowledge does for you is make your projects go faster. Like, that's it. When you have that level of knowledge, your projects go faster. They go a little smoother because you can anticipate problems because you've run into those problems before. You can kind of like lay out like, oh, last time that went wrong, so this time I'm going to preemptively, fix that. And that's the quality that you need to cultivate. Going into every project, not thinking that you have to be perfect, not thinking that you have to know everything, not thinking that you have to have it all figured out before you go in, but going in knowing that like I've put the fail safes in place that I need to put in place, that in case I do screw something up, I have a backup, obviously. Like, that's just being a professional, right? But then knowing that no matter what, you can figure it out. You can figure out find the answer yourself or get some help to figure it out. So that's just one of the things that, we have to take this pressure off of ourselves to be perfect and all-knowing before we're allowed to start. And to take the pressure off of ourselves to be perfect and all-knowing before we're allowed to charge like what we should be charging for the outcome, right? Like, your client is not paying you for how long it takes you to do something unless you are doing some like a day rate or something like that, obviously. But your client's paying you for the outcome. Do they care if you ask someone for help to figure it out? No, they don't. They don't care. So I want to go back to Robin, who's a student inside my Web Designer Academy, because she did not end up referring this person that had asked her if she knew a good website developer. She said, she's like, in the past, I would have referred them to someone with more expertise and experience, but this time I immediately responded with quote unquote me. And she said, just what I learned in your 5-day website challenge and in the Web Designer Academy increased my knowledge and confidence significantly. The Web Designer Academy continues to increase my skills, and knowing I have you to ask for questions makes me even more confident in my ability to handle whatever comes up. That's the kind of community that we have created. Like, it's different than any other community out there. And then we had people jumping in, like Kim was like, I agree. I helped an acquaintance, I can't read, get a WordPress site set up. And she reached out to me because it had an error on the top, and I was able to go in there, troubleshoot, edit, and fix the error. Of course she would have been able to do that on her own site, no problem. But she goes, I would not have had the confidence to do that before. And Helen was like, I 1,000% agree with this. And then I about cried when I read it all, because that's the kind of community that I want to have for people when they're like, when they need help, because we don't have to do it all on our own. I don't know why. I used to think that I did, and life just got so much more fun. Business got better. I made more money faster when I started getting help. So that's how we support our students. And yes, inside the Web Designer Academy, it is the business of web design. It's the processes, it's the marketing, it's also the mindset stuff, but it's the community that we've created. And we talk tech in that community. We have people that do Squarespace, Webflow, WordPress, that are coders, developers. We have all kinds of people in there, and they love to help each other. They absolutely love to help each other. One, I saw a post in there that was like, oh, I couldn't believe that one of the other students, I posted a question, and one of our other students was like, hey, I have an hour before like my kid gets up from her nap. I'll hop on a Zoom and help you out. And they like just solved this problem together. And so one of our students, Helen, she's like, I feel like I have backup. Like, I go into any client situation, I've got backup. And Parisa called it, she's like, it's like having coworkers. It's like being able to like get up from your cube back in the day when we like had offices that we went to for those of you that are working from home right now. But she's like, it's like having coworkers that you can like ask for help, but you're running your own business. So I just love that. And that's really the kind of community that we've created. So like I said, the one thing that I want you to take away from watching this is that you do not have to be an expert. You do not have to know all the things. You have to be willing to figure the things out as they come up, and you will grow your expertise just as you start like working on things, as you start doing things, as you start taking on more experience. And you will, if you put yourself in a space where you have other people helping you, your confidence just like immediately grows, because you're like, oh, it's not just all on me. I have backup to help me with anything that might come up. So if you want to work with us, if you want to become part of that amazing community of just collaborative, supportive web designers that just want to see everybody thrive, I'm hosting a private training next Friday that's going to just go a lot deeper on some of the topics that we've talked about today, but you have to apply for an invitation. So if you want to be considered to work with us, if you want to get an invite to that live private training, just go over to www.webdesigneracademy.com and fill out the application. It's super quick. It's 2 questions, but I want you to go in detail on those 2 questions so I can make sure that we're a good fit. And then I'll send you all of the details. If I approve your application, I'll send you all of the details to attend that free live private training next Friday. So I'm going to be back here on Monday with another short training for you guys to touch on how to make a full-time income as a web designer. It's something that I could not crack the code on in like the first 6 months of my side hustle. Really like the first 6 to 9 months, I like totally abandoned it. And then I went back to it with the advice of my coach, who was like, why are you going to leave like a parked car on the side of the road and just walk away from it? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you just left a valuable asset sitting over on the side of the road because you got frustrated. And I was like, okay, I see what you're talking about. So I'll get more into that on Monday about like the specific steps that you can take to figure out like, what really do I need to make this happen? Because I see people like thinking like, 6 figures. I'm not successful unless I make 6 figures. And, there's so much more of a range to talk about when it comes to like, what does a full-time living as a web designer really mean for you? And so I want to dive into that. So we'll be doing that on Monday. And if you know any web designers who are struggling, undercharging, over-delivering, burnt out, or they're just brand new and they're like, hey, I really do want to get started. I want to get started off on the right foot. Tag them in the comments of this live. And I will see you guys on Monday. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Bye.